Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de the age-old question of who really prefers turkey over the many other kinds of meats, and probably rant a bit as well on, who I think actually prefers it overall. Like at all. Hey, Ozempic here. So in the spirit of the next major holiday coming up, and obviously I'm taking that week off from making clips, because, I'll take any excuse to take off from this very stressful work that I do. you know, aka ranting over the internet, right? I figured I'd ask about the mystery that is turkey and its special place in the American psyche, I suppose. But first I need to make it clear that I've moved past the whole I hate turkey phase of my life, okay? And that's definitely thanks to my wifey's continued turkey evolution, right? She's perfected a perfectly nice turkey recipe that I enjoy. Having said that, we are still just a couple, and at best, we have had 4 guests, extra guests, over at our Thanksgiving. And a turkey remains a poor choice, in my opinion, for the centerpiece. I mean, maybe if our dinner party size doubled, I'd be more enthusiastic at the prospect of this dopiest of birds. So today I figured I'd just unload on why I think turkey cannot possibly be the real preference of anyone outside of its clear symbolic usage on this most American of holidays coming up, okay? So, if you enjoy some random rants from a dude with no production skills, clearly, like and subscribe, share and comment, or whatever. I'll be great regardless because I'm already happy. Okay, so point number 1, right? It cannot be that good if people only make it once a year. I don't just mean regular cooks, right? You hardly find turkey on menus of restaurants outside of Thanksgiving time either, okay? Seriously, let's really think about how during the vast majority of the year, how do Americans actually consume turkey? Deli meats mostly, right? My wifey likes herself a panera turkey sandwich every now and then. Okay, sure, that's fair. But frankly, turkey breast used in that recipe could literally be any other kind of poultry, right? I guarantee you my wifey wouldn't notice, right? Now, maybe I'm forgetting the occasional turkey bacon or smoked turkey leg in the grocery store, but my point remains, right? Outside of Thanksgiving time, not only is a whole turkey not really available, you cannot even find parts of it, unlike, say, the legs or thighs of a chicken, right? Now, I've heard that, hey, turkeys are great for Thanksgiving because it feeds a ton of people argument. Sure, logistically that sounds reasonable. Turkeys are extremely, dumb-looking large turds. I mean birds. But are we saying that Thanksgiving is the only time when a relatively large group of even Americans gather in the same place? That's just not true, right? What about Christmas? What about 4th of July? What about other religious holidays that are celebrated in the US by its many immigrants, and yet not a single other group or even holiday or even family reunions has ever co-opted this giant, efficient, and healthiest of birds as a centerpiece. So what does that say about the viability of turkey versus its alternatives? I mean, the results speak for themselves, right? If turkey was superior to literally any other meat, wouldn't we, just eat more of it? Point number 2, right? It cannot be that good if, despite America's incredible soft power around the world, the turkey has never ever become famous anywhere else as a thing to be eaten. That's compared to common foods that foreigners associate with the US. Oh boy, there are tons actually when you think about it, okay? Hamburgers, hot dogs, fried chicken, pizza. Heck, all of these have their own foreign variations and takes, right? You want to sell a flatbread at a markup, just toss some cheese on it, call it a pizza, right? The French envelopes the most generic hot dog links with their beautiful bread, immediately making it my favorite versions of it so far, right? And American fried chicken absolutely has forced other fried chickens around the world to step up their game. And frankly, on that one, I'd give the crown to the tried and true southern variation still, okay? I mean, even the humble crawfish has somehow become a luxury item in the Far East, right? Despite being referred to lovingly in the US as mudbugs, right, in those swampy areas of its origin. And yet, a giant flightless bird that certainly looks efficient, for the amount of meat that it produces. Nobody else in the world wanted to adopt it for some kind of ethnic take on the pride of cuisine Americana. It's not like there aren't American expats all over the world that probably do have sentimental attachments to this most famous of Thanksgiving meals, right? Who'd probably pay extra, for a friendsgiving abroad to serve turkey. So I know there's exposure outside of the U.S., but my best guess is that any foreigner who had some turkey with the expats came out with the usual feeling that the turkey is simply a whole lot of meh-level mediocrity, right? Mostly, after all, and I cannot repeat this often enough, how good can anyone be at making a dish if they can only make it, once a year, right? It's not really the animal's fault, but our relationship with it. All right, finally, I feel like I've, shit on turkey enough, so I'm gonna give it a compliment, right? So what is turkey's relative, its single relative redeeming quality? Now, I think part of it is just that its inherent quantity, right? Quantity over quality. There's so much of it. Granted, it's mostly so much of the boring parts than most poultry, and that's the breast meat. But it's relatively healthy, apparently less fat and less protein than a chicken even, so there's very little incentive not to stuff yourself with it. Though, now that I think about it, just because something's relatively healthy in its category, aka meats, probably won't overwhelm the fact that most people at Thanksgiving dinner treat eating as a binging competition, right? Which brings me to my point, right? Which is that a healthy dosage of that turkey dinner with a little bit of red wine on the side is probably the most natural sleep aid I've ever heard of. I mean, I know there are tons of Americans who have all sorts of sleep disorders, but I've definitely also witnessed a low in the conversation as much as that Thanksgiving afternoon in that time frame. I mean, is it an excuse to get out of talking to one's family? I have no idea, because I know I genuinely want to take a nap afterwards, and I suspect I am actually in the majority here, right? Now, some might ask, hey, you seem mostly down on turkey, so why would you eat so much of it? And my response is, clearly you don't know how much I hate waste. So, in conclusion, does anybody know of anyone, any single person, who actually prefers turkey to other meats, on a regular basis? Are there people out there who actually, will roast a whole turkey for any purpose outside of Thanksgiving? Or rather, foreign chefs that have figured out how to make turkey breast not the most boring thing to eat. That's not just for the purposes of dieting, right? I would personally love to know. I need to repeat again, wifey, I love your turkey, but can't we consider a goose or a duck one of these, years? Cheers. I'll approach it.